Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to City Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast here on the Nerd Party Network. I am your host, Daniel Prue, and joining me, as always, are my two best puzzle solvers, Darren Moser and Philip Gilfus. Hey, guys, how was your week?
It was good. We've been talking off mic, but Darren and I are in different ways encountering the only, I guess at this point, Star Trek Picard novel, Last Best Hope. Is that what it's called?
Right.
I'm reading it traditionally, and you're listening to it through audio means. And it's actually really good.
It's Last Best Hope.
Last Best Hope. And it's very good. I mean, it's sort of like filling in the Picard story. It starts off, from him leaving the Enterprise and taking on this Romulan mission.
It's like one long book that we only get flashbacks of
exactly.
in the show.
Yes,
that's basically what it is.
Instead of flashbacking, you told its own story. So it's a radical concept.
Literally, like in order. It's just crazy. But
so, would you say that they fleshed that story out? Because I feel like that story feels like it's just window dressing in Picard, and I kind of am more interested in it than
there's probably more in the book, obviously, that you don't need, but they give the pieces you do need in the flashbacks. So again, it's not like you have to read the book, but it has a lot in it.
I don't want to spoil Darren, but I will just say you will need a lot of characters that are in Picard. So, sorry, it's mild spoilers, but Maddox will show up, and the creating the synthetics is going to come up. That we saw on Mars, which I feel like I could explain, but I'll let you read, Darren. The reason why they need synthetics, I think you would find is a very interesting reason of why they need them.
All right.
And so, I'm only maybe a fourth of the way through, and so that's kind of where we are.
They're non-unionized, so they can,
Agnes has shown up, and so, it's obviously Raffi, has shown up, and so, we're
Any, I guess, I don't know if this would be considered spoilers, so if it is, you could skip. But any Trek cameos that we
Geordi has shown up.
Okay,
yeah. Yeah, it starts in the beginning with he was in that part, because Geordi helps build the ships. Yeah. Like, he was almost insulted if Picard didn't ask him to go on this greatest engineering challenge of our age.
I did think there was a joke that I don't know if it's Una, right? The author. McCormick,
Una, yeah.
Who's written everything in the world.
Yeah.
But anyway, a lot of genre writing. I read a Doctor Who book by her. But anyway, I don't know if she meant it as this kind of a joke, but spoilers as far as the Next Generation continued universe. But Worf is made captain of the Enterprise, and there's a comment, and I can't remember the context of Captain Worf. Who would have thought that? I'm like, are they trying to make fun of the series idea? Is that what they're trying to do?
Oh, I didn't pick that up. It's because it's when Picard is deciding to go on this new mission, and I was thinking of the other scene where all the admirals are deciding, well, who gets the Enterprise, and Picard's pushing for Worf, and some of the others are a little reluctant to that, but
so
they bring up the Deep Space Nine incident.
I saw that.
They always bring up the Deep Space Nine incident.
Did they actually bring it up? Did they? Oh, did they just dismiss it?
No. They're pretty much.
They bring it up, but they say you had to bring it. You had to bring it up. If you're gonna seriously consider him for captain, you can't not mention it. Is kind of how they go.
Though I do like Picard's inner monologue.
But Picard had good points.
Yeah, well, his inner monologue is it can't happen again because she's dead. So that's
yeah. He's like. Yeah, it's like Worf made this choice because of his wife, and Picard's like, well, probably not going to happen again.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Again, he didn't say it. He thought it, but,
It's... What an interesting... I don't know. It's it kind of feels like they're... To me, I haven't read it, so this is totally without context, but just reading the headlines and stuff, it feels like they're kind of erasing his Deep Space Nine history in a way, just because we know he goes somewhere else after the end of Deep Space Nine, and they put him back on the track that he would have.
Well, if you remember, Nemesis is after Deep Space Nine.
Right.
True. Well, and it makes a lot of sense to me because I've read probably like the last dozen TNG novels that have come out that are now obviously those don't line up at all with Picard. It's like a separate kind of tangent. But in that, Worf is number one to Picard, and so it makes a lot of sense that they kind of kept that element of that part of the story, and it fits. Like, I mean, he's red shirt now, and you know, I could see him going into that role.
And they make, and I don't know if you've hit this part, Darren, but this isn't a spoiler because you could conceptually know this. The point is made by Picard eventually that having Worf as captain during this Romulan incident is parallel to the Klingon praxis, you know, during the Khitomer incident, Star Trek VI. And now we have a Klingon who's the captain of our flagship. Isn't that a message to the Romulans that in this time of their need, that, you know, years from now, they can be, you know, that there can be friendship, that this can evolve, that they shouldn't be scared of this vulnerability, just as the Klingons weren't. Well, they were, but it worked out.
Yeah, they mentioned that in the scene where they're choosing Worf, so I've read that part. And it's a good point because initially Picard wants to keep his crew and his ship with him, like, for this new task, but they have a good point where the Enterprise isn't really, like, the best-known ship in the Romulan Star Empire.
It's actually really well known. That's the
that's
problem.
not really what you want to lead with. Well, that's true. That's true. How long will we stare at each other, Picard, across this neutral zone? But,
well, you know what? It sounds pretty interesting. I think maybe I'll...
It is good, and everything I've read, like, again, I haven't finished it, but most reviews I've seen really enjoyed it, which is saying something.
Yeah, well, you know, we might talk about that at a future date. But today, guys, we are here to talk about a title which every time I read it, every time I see it, I think Doctor Who. I think this is a Doctor Who reference, but it is called the Impossible Box. And
the Pandorica is opening.
I can't get it out of my head. It's but that's neither here nor there. So we are here to talk about that episode, and so let's start with the box itself. No, we're not going to do that because it's kind of pointless and boring and stupid.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, I think it might be a little on the nose. But
his little puzzle box? Yeah.
Oh, man, because, I want to talk about the whole Romulan aspect of this episode, but we'll do that later. We'll start... Where do we start in this episode? Where do we start in this episode? Do we want to start on the ship or do we want to start on the board?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it starts with her dream, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So it starts where she's having... Soji is having a dream of when she was a child. Well... quote unquote.
And there's an anvil being hit, and this bird flies through the corner.
And a bird wing. Yeah.
There's a crow that shows up. It's all weird. I don't know what's going on. And she goes into this her father's workshop, and then she gets awoken. And of course, she's in bed with sexy Romulan dude, Narek, whatever his name is. Yeah. Although it's not his real name. We learn Romulans have regular names.
It's not his Christian name. So.
Yeah, regular names and sexy names that you only tell your partners.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, I guess. Whatever. At the very beginning of this episode, I was a little nervous, but at least we got some answers in terms of this storyline. There's some movement, some momentum, I would say. So, what did you guys think of the setup here?
It was different. I mean, it was the first non-flashback, I guess. I mean, in a way it is, but because it was the dream, it's kind of different. But there's a lot of payoff in this episode, which was nice.
Yeah, because I was, what are we on, guys? I feel like I have to check in every time. Episodes.
This is episode 6.
We only got 4 episodes left, guys. 4 episodes.
4 left.
So they better wrap it up here.
This is starting to feel a lot like Discovery. Yeah. Like we really need to wrap things up very, very quickly. But okay.
But yeah, it does, and we'll get to it. I'm just saying at the beginning, it did. I was, what's the right word? I'm not worried, but I was puzzled. Haha, get it? It's an impossible box. It's a puzzle. About Narek's strategy here of how far he's going to push her.
Right.
I don't know. Of course, this gets into my.
Well, he needs to have her. Because he does the whole subconscious thing,
right? And I know we'll get into how he does it and all that stuff. But I did. I admit, unlike, I don't know, I don't want to put words in y'all's mouth, but unlike y'all, I feel like I've been like, okay, their relationship, it's weird, but I'm with it. But I think this episode, I'm like, no, it's weird. It's weird. It's, I guess I wasn't buying on how much she's trusting him. Because he's obviously has his agenda. I get why he's into her for multiple reasons, you know. Kind of, does he really like her? Is he a Romulan? Is he a spy? You know, da-da-da. But why she likes him, I'm like, I don't get why. Because she seems like she has a level head for, you know, a suppressed synthetic. I don't get why she's totally trusting on him as much as she is.
I
Other
agree.
than she read the script.
The relationship the relationship makes little sense to me as well. But
I mean, maybe she overlooks those red flags because she's in
not
love with
knowing
him,
his name,
you know.
And I mean, like,
well,
you know, Darren, I'm not trying to make, but like, I get that you can go a little far, but like, I can't think of like any kind of real life instance where you have this, I don't know, fling. I'm not trying to minimize it, but having a fling with this person who you know nothing about, but it's a sustained fling. But it's not like summer where you're going to go home.
The relationships of the 25th century are a bit different, Philip.
Because then, and this is going to go way in too deep, and I'll ignore it. I'll shut up here. But like, what is her in her mind, right? Which is fake, but of references of having a relationship. Like, does she have exes in her mind, in her memories? You know, like, anyway, or does she kind of a blank slate about how to have a romantic relation? I don't know. I think about these things, I guess.
I don't know either. I don't know. It makes no sense to me. I'm with you, Philip. Don't worry. I'm right behind you.
I mean, her sister's boyfriend
so we get
seemed
this
much better. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so we get this establishing dream that we'll come back to 3 or 4 times throughout this episode. But we'll switch tracks now, and we go back to the Sirena?
El Sirena.
La
Sirena.
La Sirena.
All sirens are female.
You got to sing it.
So I was wondering about how they were. We talked a little bit about this last week. How is Agnes going to get out of this? Because you would
pretty easy, apparently.
Barely an inconvenience.
His heart just couldn't take it.
Oh, hey, Darren, that's a Star Wars excuse.
Yeah, it's just it. Medically, he's fine, but he just lost the will to live.
I'm shocked. I hope,
oh my gosh.
Please, for the love of God, when they reactivate EMH, I want him to be like, she's a murderer.
Yeah.
Somebody.
That would be the best, the beginning. That would be the best.
I think they're just going to sweep it under the rug, and she just got away with it somehow.
Does this ship not have medical logs? I mean, like, you know... Also, okay, guys, I'm going to stop for a second. So, has it been established, because, by the way, spoilers for both of you, in the book, she is a medical doctor. I did not know that from this TV series. Did you know that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I didn't know that.
So, why are they asking her why he died? Because why would she know? Why don't you just, like, computer, let's check the medical logs of why he died, instead of me asking this person who's a AI specialist.
But
apparently she's a medical doctor
and
so.
AI specialist. Well, I mean, so was Dr. Crusher was a medical doctor and also had a bit of, you know, cybernetics knowledge. But.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's just there's
only one blue shirt, okay? And if you are science or doctor or whatever, like, they just mix them all together. One
there's
color.
As many blue shirts as that ship needs, Darren. That's the superpower of that ship.
And I guess my frustration that she's kept her murder pretty well hidden, I guess it took second place to her reaction as I turned to my wife about 20 minutes later in this episode and said, "So, Jessica, you know, after I murder you, just going to let you know, having sex the next day. Just, you know, that's how I'm going to deal with grief." Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Don't, Philip.
Don't worry, guys. No, don't worry, guys. I totally trust the writers to have the payoff, and whatever she knows is totally going to make it worth it.
Because hang on. Before I do want to talk about that, but before we get there, I'm stuck on this first line where she tells Picard that he just couldn't take it, and so he died. And then in the next scene, Elron says, "So we're supposed to expect." we're supposed to accept that Picard just says, okay, I'm a smart man. I've been around medical science for forever, but I'll just take your word that he just couldn't take it. And then 2 seconds later, Elrond tells Agnes, I can tell that you're hiding something. And he just has a sixth sense of this sort of stuff. Well, maybe you should have figured out the murder 30 seconds ago, man. What the heck is happening on this ship? It's so
also, I get that Jean-Luc is not the captain of the ship, and Rios is, and it's this weird relationship. I get it. But I can tell that Jean-Luc's not in charge because no one has briefed Elrond about anything. He has no idea what's going on. Agnes is reading the script. Elrond has no idea. He's not even getting a Wikipedia about what's going on. He's like, wait a minute, what's a Borg? What's an artifact? What are we even doing? All I know is I got a sword and I kill people. Am I killing someone? Well, then I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I don't get it. They're playing him like a Data-like character who doesn't know anything. But he grew up in this universe. He is a Romulan. He should know what the presumably what the artifact is. He should definitely know what the Borg are. Why is he acting like? And then he says what does he say to Agnes? Some silliness. He said, "Did I in-butt? Did I butt in?" But he doesn't understand how to say the phrase. And
Pretty
that's
much.
some sort of secret character development off screen, I guess, that happened that we're just supposed to accept. I just didn't understand half of what he was talking about this episode. I was very confused.
Yeah, it's the and again I'm gonna paint a broad brush. It's this Tilly humor, which I get it. It can be funny sometimes, but this awkward. I'm like, it's not. It doesn't work as much as you think it does, guys.
Yeah.
Also,
okay, that's enough, I guess.
Well, just briefly, because this is that same scene. I get why they did it, though in some ways, I don't know, because Daniel, I don't know if you watched this episode with your lady like you did last time, where they have to remind the audience, and I get it, potential new audience, right? You can't assume, right? Where they have to remind them about Best of Both Worlds. So, you just have Agnes being like, oh yeah, that's when you were assimilated by the Borg and taken all your way. And I'm like, cruel exposition. Really, just right to his face. Wow.
Yeah, well, and they had the scene in his study which was kind of cool with the transparent Locutus face.
Yeah, somebody had that idea and was very proud of it. It was a very dramatic thing when it happened, but
doesn't it look like he's looking at it
so
backwards? Shut up! It's going to be cool.
I didn't even think about that honestly, but so he explains. He says, "Hey, I was Locutus and stuff," which again, I don't know. It feels like that event was probably pretty monumental. I mean, I know it was pre-Dominion War, so maybe people have a short memory. I don't know.
Agnes
it just seems like
young.
everybody would be
Eleanor's pretty young.
I know who Luke is.
That was 3 wars ago, okay?
But whatever. I guess maybe people have forgotten. So we do get that exposition, and then we get the scene with him in the ready room / chateau.
The ready chateau.
He tells. Was tickled about this, and this is not a big deal, but he asked the computer to look up the Borg, the cube
artifact,
3 related
and the treaty.
Things. I can't remember what they were, but I'm like, and the treaty, and you would be like, if you just looked up one of those things, it's like a Wikipedia page. All of them would be linked to it. I don't know.
So he's deep diving.
Yeah, I guess so. So did you get the feels when we started seeing some flashbacks, some TNG scenes?
There were a lot of Borg-y scenes and shots.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely shows that he's gone a long way to not think about this for a long time. Which I get.
And I'm not trying to flash forward, but when he's like, "Oh, this is the first time," or "This is my first time back in a Borg cube," I'm like, "No, it is. Oh, it is." Because I just with first contact, I'm like, "Well, he wasn't on the ship for that, I guess." So it did because I was trying to look through the prism of the First Contact movie with a lot of this, and I'm which I know is even that's been a couple years since that too. So I'm just trying to figure out where his headspace is, in between Best of Both Worlds and family and Hugh or Iborg. Sorry, that's the name of the episode. Iborg, processing those feelings, and then First Contact, processing those. So where is he in this whole thing?
Well, you definitely in that scene when he's talking about it, and he's like, I got the first contact Picard sense, like when he starts getting shouty and yelly about it, and the Borg they metastasize, they you know, like you get that whole sort of vengeance feeling from him, and it's interesting because and it's not a bad thing for me because I would imagine that thing would be traumatic and would always be there as part of him. But I wasn't sure if he's still bitter and ragey about it, or if he's come to accept it and it's just, or he's suppressed it, and now that it's coming to the surface, it's kind of overwhelming him. But I guess
it made me think about what was the actual lesson he learned in First Contact, because I think at first blush, I thought he learned that, you know, hating the Borg doesn't. But I don't think that's actually the lesson. I think that maybe the lesson was that he shouldn't go overboard. He shouldn't, at all costs, have revenge on the Borg. That he should. So he still has that one of, I want to kill them all, but he's like, well, I shouldn't burn everything in the process about it, though. 7. But anyway.
Well, the lesson. I mean, it's interesting because the lesson in I, Borg is don't hate all the Borg.
Right.
The lesson in I, Borg is essentially what he learns in this episode 2 later on, is where have sympathy, have empathy for these creatures. They're victims. He learns that in this episode. He says it. They're victims, and it's like, well, you kind of already knew that. It also, I kind of had a little bit of a chuckle because I was thinking, and I know we're jumping ahead, but when Hugh was giving him all the exposition, they're walking down the halls, and Picard's like, his line is, I had no idea that you could unassimilate, or whatever word he says,
right,
at this scale. And in my mind, I'm thinking that,
like, Locutus, you don't look like you have ever been assimilated. You look totally fine.
In my mind, I'm thinking of those poor Borg on the holodeck, and he's like, I just thought I had to murder everybody.
You know what?
Is it like reaching into the fire? If you do it really fast, you don't burn yourself, and it's really easy to unassimilate.
You know, it's the best way to assimilate. Look, they're not Borg anymore. They're not alive either. Well, even though we're making fun of it, I think the contradiction between Best of Both Worlds and First Contact about, like, can't you just, like, unassimilate them? But then with this episode, Picard's seeing that, we're just going to assume that's real, because we're making fun of it as like, well, I think you could do that the whole time. But maybe you couldn't. And so now that they can, okay, now he's seeing it through a new lens.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but I just thought that was funny. So yeah, should we bring up the whole Rios and Agnes thing? Do you guys want to talk about it? It was strange to me too. Well, I didn't really get it, but
I would just say briefly, not that I don't understand her actions. She's I don't know, because there's a couple levels there, but I'm just going to do surface levels, because she killed them, but I'm ignoring that for a moment. She's dealing with the death. All right, well, I'll deal with that. So she's obviously vulnerable, obviously you make reactions. So her reaction. Rios, I want him to be the mature guy in this relationship, or just the person, that's not gendered, that realize, hey, she just lost someone, I probably shouldn't indulge her escapism. I guess we're still learning what kind of a man Rios is. I mean, I get that he's kind of slightly roguish, but I don't know. I still think he's supposed to be a good guy. So I just feel like he should be a little more smart about what's going on.
I mean, I'm most interested when he has those moments with, like, Raffi. Like, obviously they have a history, and, like, she's his friend.
I can see your point, Philip. But the way he handles it, I think, is mature. Like, he understands, he recognizes, and he very much makes sure he gets her consent multiple times before anything happens. It's like he recognizes that this is a bad idea, technically, but also that it is what you say. It is what you say. It's escapism. It is a way to cope, albeit temporarily. And I think people just need that sometimes. So, and there's no harm coming out of this as far as we'll see.
Well,
maybe there will be, but
yeah,
presumably.
Maybe psychology is different, but I mean, there could be harm to her because she's going to have conflicting feelings about.
Yeah, I mean,
betraying the person she killed, who she's lost. And I don't know. Like I said, there's many layers going on with her.
And I wonder too, not that we know or not, but if their relationship was public, maybe we don't. Maybe he just sees her and Maddox's relationship as just like a mentor sort of a thing. Not that that makes it any better, but it is slightly different. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I don't care that much. It's just weird because it feels like they're not going. It doesn't feel like they're going to build a real relationship. It just feels like this is a one and done kind of a thing, and I don't know what purpose that gives the story or the characters. So I'm just like, why are we doing this? Like,
well, both that scene and then even the Rafi scene, because I mean, Darren, and I'm drawn to what you said last week when Rafi and her scene with her son. You were saying,
right.
It's great acted, and you're correct, and it's probably the same thing I said last week. I don't see the point in it. Like in as much as in this story, I mean, I get it. It's building her character, and like the scene with Rios and Rafi, well acted, but it's just. And I think maybe this is my personal problem. I don't do melodrama maybe at all, but especially in Trek. And this is a melodramatic scene. And again, I don't say that in a negative way. It's just, that's like a Grey's Anatomy, whatever. Like This Is Us, that's that kind of stuff. But that's not. I don't watch TV for that. And so for this stuff, and I'm like,
and I feel like they're showing her like in pain and suffering because of her conviction. And I mean, I'm assuming that they're setting up the eventual triumphant "I was right," moment. Now, whether she'll have to actually be able to reveal that to anybody, I don't know. But I feel like that's just what they're trying to set up, as semi-complex that is. But
and I guess I don't also understand, and I have my biases of what I think the 24th century was like, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't get why she is broken. I mean, and I'm saying that in a general, I'm not trying to offend, Rafi here, but what is her whole story about why she broke? We know that she, as far as we know, she was fully functional as JL's XO, and that at some point, X happened, and then she's like drunk, druggy.
Well,
and I'm like,
they made it sound like when they called her in, they basically stripped her of her rank and access, and basically she just was kicked out of Starfleet.
Yeah, and then I think she became obsessed with this theory that we'll learn more about.
And that it impacted her husband and her family, and because she, and they probably blacklisted her in some way, to keep her out of things where she would have knowledge.
Yeah, and of course we're going to find out she's right.
Yeah.
But she became too obsessed with it and neglected her family and all this sort of stuff. How did you guys feel about the scene with her and is that her old captain?
I thought it was the
friend.
But it's the first captain we've seen in this decade.
I really like the uniform.
I really do too.
I do too.
It makes me want to see a whole crew in a ship like we are used to Star Trek, But it was. It was okay. I guess this was just an excuse to get onto the Borg cube, so whatever.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and her friend was like, "Never call me again."
Yeah, and again, we're supposed to. I'm not trying to make fun of this, but we're supposed to feel sorry for her again. And I guess that's it. But I guess I have a hard time buying.
And she won because she won that moment, but she also
At
lost a
what cost?
friend. Like she can't win.
Yeah. And because my leap that I have trouble making in the backstory is that there wasn't another option for her. Like, okay, I'm wrong, so I guess it's just, become crazy person with the newspaper articles and the ribbons that clip together. It's like, well, there's like a million organizations and
now I'm imagining her like clipping pads on the wall. Each pad is an individual document.
But I'm like, the Tal Shiar wasn't hiring, or you couldn't go to Cardassia to start the Obsidian Order again, or there's like a billion Section 31 didn't find you, or I don't know. I guess that's just what I have. Like, there's options out there.
Well, if it's all a conspiracy, Philip. If it's all a conspiracy, there's nowhere you can go. You can't trust anyone, Philip. And remember, 99.9% of the time, that is true. That's just crazy talk. But when it's actually true, when they're really all out to get you, that makes your life pretty tough, I think. So. Okay, so she was drunk, and then there was. I will say though that the scene between her and Rios was nice.
Yeah, it was
a
nice.
Nice little scene.
And they had already established like that they knew each other and they're friends and stuff. And I like these little moments. It's not. I don't feel like it's too heavy-handed.
No, I wish we had more. A lot of times it feels like they try to shortcut these sorts of things, but here is that was a genuine scene between two characters, and they're just interacting. It wasn't driving anything forward, or it wasn't like a super action crazy scene. It was just, hey, I'm concerned about you. I'm your friend. Let's talk through this. And so hopefully she's on the mend, because apparently nobody else on the ship really cares that she's like seriously battling lots of forms of addiction.
Picard still needs
people skill
to help.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I'd forgotten to write that down. But I remember having that reaction of like, and I can't remember if it was after the scene where she gets the deal and then walks away with her bottle. I'm like, yes, someone other than Rios should really give a blank that she's having. Don't they have an emergency counselor hologram? I don't know.
Yes, that's exactly what I asked. Where is he, man? All right, so let's switch gears and talk about...
See, the problem is when you call the ECH, the emergency command and the emergency counseling holograms both activate.
And the emergency chef hologram.
Okay, so now...
Yeah, yes. Well, what we?
Right.
He's French.
No, it could be Riker. It's like in Enterprise. Yes. So now that we have...
It's Rios with a ridiculous French mustache.
Oh, that would be awesome.
The same beret that Jean-Luc was wearing earlier. Anyway.
Yeah, and the eye patch, same eye patch. That's where he got it from.
That would be awesome. So now that we have our means to get on the artifact,
right.
Jean-Luc, they say, hey, nobody else, just you. So he beams over, and we have what would be called, I guess, like a PTSD sort of scene, right, with him.
The Hugh reunion.
Yeah, the Hugh reunion. But was the beginning of this, was this a cruel ploy by the Romulans to like be in the middle of nowhere where no one was? Or did Hugh I want the most dramatic entrance possible. There's going to be some fog machines. I want to be backlit. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I was thinking
I didn't understand why nobody was there to greet him.
Yeah, Hugh's not a ass, so he shouldn't have done that. So I don't know.
Right, exactly.
Maybe he was late. Things happen. One thing I do appreciate, and I guess because I feel like I'm always negative at this point. I do love that they keep that Borg ship scary, which I guess it always is. But over the years in Trek, we've seen it enough that maybe it couldn't be scary anymore. But to me, because it has that, it was at first contact that I think they really established it. But it has that hum. And it's just like, it's always there. You don't even hear the whispers, but you almost want to hear the whispers. But just when he walks in that Borg cube, you just hear that all the time, and it creates that kind of freaky environment.
I will say, I think overall that the Borg are getting the short end of the stick in Picard in terms of actual story time and like how we're dealing with them. But the set design of the cube is like awesome. It's really on point. I love it. And when they go into the cubes, the
Queen's Chamber,
the Queen's Chamber,
I thought that was awesome. That was super cool. That was a lot of fun.
What you're saying about that sound, Philip, I feel like it's been replaced by that kind of like computer wall, like the kind of click, like as it's kind of like shuffling and reconfiguring itself. And yeah, it's spooky. Again, like you said, Daniel. Like, all the time we spend on the Borg cube is with the two non-Borg. Like, the Romulan and the android.
Like the conversation that Picard has with Hugh here is
the best part of the whole episode.
It is, and it's the most Borg development that we get. So I want to talk a lot about...
Picard's basically PTSD tripping right there,
and
he's about to fall, and he's feeling like they're grabbing him, and then you realize, like, no, like, they just don't want you to, like... They're just standing there waiting to kind of resume. Like, he's in a psychiatric hospital, basically.
I'm not crazy!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Well, I just that in that moment, and even kind of throughout with the what are we calling them? XBs.
XBs, yeah.
Because it almost
the Scion XBs.
It kind of does remind me again. I mean, first there's been Borg and Voyager, I know, but it reminds me of First Contact because I almost wanted like Hugh to like nod, and then the XP to just like let them go and just go on their business, just like kind of the way the Queen does with controlling the collective. But
true.
But I do like that there is a spectrum of XBs, you know, from.
Right, like Hugh.
Well, Picard, I think, is on one end, but yes, Hugh too.
That's true. Yeah,
but I do like that.
I will say I was, and this is like not even a fault of the episode or anything, but for some reason I was sad that we didn't get a Hugh 7 interaction. I think that would be good.
I think we're getting one.
We might.
4 episodes left, guys.
I know, but I'm pretty sure I saw in one of the trailers a moment, but we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, I just love their conversation though, because they unpack so much. Because and this is where, like, if you didn't see, you know, and it's just one scene, but if you didn't see Best of Both Worlds and Borg and Descent, like, that gives so much more to this scene. And I just when the fact that when Hugh just smiles at him and gives him a hug, and you're just like, oh man, this guy, like, he's like, you get it.
Tell me, Picard,
you just really get it.
How is Geordi?
You know, so 2 things. One thing, Philip, I wanted to say that I thought of you when he gave him the hug, and I'm like, Philip is right when, like, most people are just pissed off at Picard, and when Picard, like, says it's really nice to see.
It's the first person was happy to see him.
It's like you feel that. It feels like a relief for you as the audience too. It's like yes, and then when you know the history behind it, I really do think that you know, we get to argue about 7 or some of the other characters, but I really feel like they're really, there's a lot of respect for that history, for the story that we're told. I really want to go back and rewatch at least that scene in Ivor.
Oh, and just thinking about it too, the fact that I had forgotten, but I just remembered, like, the fact that Picard chose to not wipe out the Borg at that point, because he could have. He was ordered to, and yes, the grand scheme consequences of that were pretty horrific. But you know, just like, I mean, Hugh points out that they're the most hated species in the entire galaxy. And, you know, you also have that scene where, you know, they're walking, he's showing him around, and that one XB is getting, like, his face reconstructed, and he's kind of, like, tearing up, and you just feel for these people. You actually see the Borg as victims.
One thing I really liked, and I think I don't know if it's subtle or not, but I like it, is that Hugh apparently is quite the politician now. Because he is winding Picard up. He is winding him up for, at the end, little pitch about, like, well, you know who could really help with the Borg.
Yeah.
And you can see Picard's reaction is like, oh God, he's going to bring up politics. He's going to ask me to, like, bring this up at a meeting or something.
Yeah.
It was great, though. And that's such a cool idea for future unpacking. Like, we could do this in season 2 where Picard could just, again, find
free
this
Borg.
group of... exactly, the free Borg party. That would be great.
Or he kind of takes up the mantle that Hugh leaves or something.
Right. No.
And it's just all the scenes with Hugh and Picard were good. And okay, now what did we think where... It's skipping ahead for a moment, but, like, where they're running away and that one drone is like,
yeah, I know, that was random ass.
I thought that was weird. I was like, what?
I mean, I think it does also kind of. I think they were just trying to establish that, like, the Borg remember everything. Like, they don't, like. I don't know.
But they're not, like, on a.
I still don't know where this cube came from.
Yeah,
because it's not the cube from the Battle of Sector 001. It's not from First Contact. It's not from Best of Both Worlds, and it's in Romulan space.
Well, we do learn, and it may be the case that this Borg wasn't there, but it was post Voyager,
right?
Because we get a fun little nod to Voyager
that they assimilated the
Sicarians.
Assimilation was not at all pleasurable.
So we know that at least I mean, I was going to say it's from the Delta Quadrant, but all Borg cubes are from the Delta Quadrant. That's not surprising. But at least we know that it existed after that event, which happened after that Voyager episode. So it may not be relevant. Like, it may be a cube that we have not seen before, I guess is my point.
Now, one thing about this whole project that I'm not sure I have an answer to, and maybe, it's because it hasn't been revealed, but maybe you all have one. Why are the Romulans doing this?
My feeling is that it's something for them to do, and I mean, think about it. Like your home planet has been destroyed, and many of your worlds are inhabitable, but in your space is this treasure trove of advanced technology, and it's something for your people to rally around. Like, and look how they protect it. I mean, they have like a fleet of dagger drones all around it. So that was my feeling. Like, it's a reclamation project. It's what you do after the war, after the destruction. Like, you do something.
It just seemed like, and I'm reading a little much into it, but I'm going to go with this, that there's the Romulan, it's not the military, but there's the Romulan component, which is like the military. And then Hugh's like the non-profit that actually is doing the work.
He's the contractor.
Yeah, but he's the he's the NGO, whatever. And so, like you said, because we've gotten a little interaction in the earlier episodes with Soji and, the Nameless? Is that what the Romulans call them?
Yeah,
but like you said, I don't know what they're getting, because they're obviously not there for the humanitarian, which is a very racist word, but they're not there for the humanitarian effort, unless there is a large Romulan contingent that were assimilated, because obviously we do get the Romulans that we've seen that are the.
Well, and they established that the last ship, the last ship that it assimilated was a Romulan ship, and then after that it stopped.
I mean, obviously, I don't think
that's what broke.
I don't think the Romulans care about with all the other species that are XPs, but whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I have no problem with half of that premise. The problem is, why are they letting non-Romulans on board? Why didn't they get the universe's largest, cloaking device over this thing, like first chance they got, and they're keeping it a closely guarded secret? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me that they're like, oh, everybody can hop on board. Sure, come on, you. Come on, you.
Hugh.
Well, and you notice that some of their ships and stuff now have kind of a Borg texture to it. Like, again, they're mining it. Like, this is like a cache, like a huge cache of resources and technology, and it's basically their backbone of their new government.
Is the artifact like a metaphor for like the pharmaceutical industry? Like, they're making money, but they're saving lives. So it's like the Romulans are the making money part.
I don't know if I'd go that
but
far,
the Hugh's
yeah.
the saving lives part.
I don't know. Hugh may have jeopardized his position.
Okay,
his cushy position.
I mean, okay, I don't want to skip to the end, but I will. So like, here's my. You tell me. So the Romulans that were chasing Hugh and Picard, if they had gotten them, they would just have captured the two, right? Right?
They want Soji. I don't think they have any interest
So
in
if
Picard.
someone.
They may not have even known Picard was there.
Well, they
he
knew
just
he
showed
was
up
there,
to
but
see
yeah.
Hugh.
So if someone slices their heads off, probably going to escalate the situation, will it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, look, he's not a de-escalator. We've established this. He just said he throws down. His lawyer told him, as long as you say choose to live, it's totally okay for you to kill him afterwards if he doesn't choose to live.
He did ask the three guys
That's
before
on
that.
him.
It just seems like
I also don't get why.
It's stenciled on his sword, so they can read it as he's slicing off their head.
Why didn't everybody just go through the portal?
Well, I did kind of see that, like, he basically didn't want them to know it was there, and he had to set the room back to, like, standard hidden mode.
This is the room of requirement for Voyager, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can agree on that.
But it was also cool because I mean, as soon as he explained it, it totally made sense that the Queen would have something like this to escape if the cube was about to be destroyed.
As she always does.
Yeah, that was fine.
Yeah, I just felt like, because in the middle part of the episode, they're sort of like, with the nameless captain, he's like, oh, or she, this is going to be an incident. You're in the neutral zone. You're in outer space. They can see there's an active war. Well, when you have some Picard people slicing heads off, I think the Romulans are gonna, not good.
Now,
not
I
good.
bet you the way that they're gonna wiggle out of that is the fact that
Romulan violence.
Yes, well, the Romulans were not supposed. They're going after Soji, and she's not. She's not Romulan. She's technically, I don't know, human, or
she's Federation.
Federation. So they can't just murderize her. They can't just hold her against her will. So they're going to be like, oh, well, it's fine that you chop those guards' heads off. We also were going.
And he was a Romulan, so
that's
fine.
I think the Romulans are just going to cover it all up. They don't want anyone to know that they're Romulans.
Your family members got a really good promotion. You're not going to be hearing from them for a while.
To Romulan North Pole.
Here's all the money that they've given you in celebration to not ask about where they are anymore. Or where they're buried.
So let's talk about the aspect of the episode that we've kind of been dancing around, but kind of the biggest.
Talk about the good parts first. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do they still have paper photos? Is that what we're going to talk about?
Why do they still have?
I get the Picard had them
question.
in Generations because he likes old stuff, but
because they need to be able to carbon date him as 37 years old.
You can't hold up a pad
months old
and be like, how old is this file? Daniel, you're a computer guy. Wouldn't you love that if she actually oh, here's an image. Oh, it's old. It's 37 months old. I looked in the...
Let me just click the little I button in the corner and whoop, it flips over. Oh, look, this was created. And it's got a location
she never
tag.
Noticed it before. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, so, okay... God,
so dreams.
Start with this?
Well, so the dream. They're trying to unpack her dream and have her see. I mean, not to jump to the end of the dream, but obviously she saw her sister being worked on, and they tried to erase that memory.
Well,
that's the gist of what. Right, but she looks exactly like her sister.
Though.
Well, you don't think she'd be able to tell, Darren?
Well, I've
no, but that's what I'm saying. I have a feeling.
I'm just kidding.
Well, again, the whole thing is an implanted memory because she was never young.
Well, I was going to ask that. I mean, right? She's only 37 months old, right?
This is what I think happened. I think she was brought online and somehow wandered in and saw her sister being assembled or whatever, and to block that out, they created the false memory of her as a child wandering in and getting scolded and. To kind of block out. That's what I think happened.
Okay, let's talk about how zero sense Maddox's plan for the synths makes. How none of this makes any
Look,
sort
it's
of
okay. He's going to explain
sense.
it. He's going to explain it to... Oh, no, wait, he's not. Because he's
So his plan... Let's get this completely straight. His plan was to create...
As far as we know.
2 identical synths. Yeah, as far as we know right now. 2 identical synths... And because he suspected that there was some sort of high-level Federation / Romulan plot.
A ploy.
A ploy, perhaps.
That's one question, Daniel. You can't ask 2 more.
He created 2 identical human synthanoids.
I'll go with it.
Who could go... And then he sent them, one to the Borg cube, one to Earth, to see if they could find... Then he implanted them with lots of false memories, inhibited what they could do, and... including the mom and the dad.
Mom's her control, basically.
So what is it? Under what circumstances does this make sense? I don't get what is his point here. Why is even if he learned, he sent them right into the den without any information. In fact, and really nebulous ways to become activated, which also still means you just run around and cry a bunch. I don't know it makes no sense to me. What his plan was here.
The vibe I get is that they are absorbing the information. Basically, their subconscious is the spy. They don't know that they're androids or they're plants or any of this. So the subconscious is what's actually uncovering things. And then the subconscious reports home when they shut off during the 70-second phone call. But I mean, yes, there's tons of holes. Like, I'm totally agreeing with you on that. But
and I guess now that I've thought about it a little bit more, if maybe it's not purely intelligence operation, because the first one, I've already forgotten her name, was sent to Dodge, was sent to Daystrom. Now you're thinking like, oh, well, to gather information. Yeah, but who is at Daystrom? Agnes. Maybe it's to protect Agnes. Maybe that was more of a protection mission for that one.
Maybe Agnes is a synth.
Well,
I don't. But we don't know. Well, but the timeline doesn't.
Well, it just happened.
I don't know.
Like it's 37 months. It took her a while to get the job, to intern, to get the interviewed. Anyway.
Well, how long ago did Maddox disappear? I can't remember.
I don't know.
They don't. I don't know if they really describe it. Yeah.
But the mission to the artifact, I don't understand how that would tie into anything. How does the artifact tie into the synth?
Well,
ban?
Because the Romulans.
That doesn't answer it. Like you just said, the Romulans.
That's what the writers of the show
because
said.
the Romulans is the episode title.
That's their excuse.
Yeah. But I mean, how does that the synth attack and the synth band? I mean, I guess it's all Tal Shiar. For a secretive organization, they are mentioned every other word. But
that's because that's the cover organization.
Right.
For
I forgot.
Just
Actually, I
recently
literally
learned.
forgot. And they haven't mentioned it in a couple episodes. The whatever stupid name.
So I want to talk about actually the thing that annoyed me the most in this episode was the secret Romulan taboo procedure of having a life-size Monopoly
the dream
board?
labyrinth.
No, it's a what's it called? Is it a labyrinth? It's basically
It looked like a prayer labyrinth. I mean, that's what in the Christian tradition. That's what it was
like a prayer. It's what it looked like.
Why
I mean,
is this thing
well,
so
actually,
special?
it looked like you were left-handed, but you wrote with your right hand as you drew the spiral. That's what it looked like because it was all.
Also, I get that it's a Romulan, ritual, and I guess you have to because when you're walking around in your trance, someone has to tell you. By the way, you just hit Park Place.
You just passed go, collect 200 memories.
You have to uncover your eyes. Am I literally uncovering my eyes? Or is it a metaphor that I'm uncovering my eyes?
It's really convenient that the floor path lined up with exactly how she walked in her dream. I don't understand. I didn't get it. Not even for a second did I buy that this made any sense.
I was sad that the red death mist wasn't the theta
I so
radiation
thought it was going to be that
from
Nemesis.
From the that they used it from Nemesis. That would have been great. But it was red. So inconsistent. Was it the green death radiation?
I know.
The red death
red
radiation.
matter. Come on now.
So the thing is, that whole point, that whole thing, that whole procedure, that whole ritual was pointless because it turns out what activates these creatures, these synths, is when they're just in mortal danger. All you do is put them in some sort of danger.
Right. Well, it's a defense mechanism.
Right, which is fine. I'm totally
doesn't fully
fine with
activate
that.
them.
But we didn't. But yeah, because like Soji,
she knows kung fu. She can punch through the floor.
Under that Buffy episode.
and she doesn't. This part is the weakest part of the episode for me. It frustrates me more than anything. But anyways, she escapes.
Well, I was
very fortuitously right on.
Yeah, and I know none of you care, but
she fell into one of the 3 sets we built of the cube. How great!
But it was interesting for me that Sexy Romulan could kill her. Right? I mean, he felt bad about it, but he could kill her. I mean, in other words, because I didn't know, because it'd be the trope of I fell in love with her, now I can't do it. But no, he could do it.
No,
yeah.
he's doing it, and they found what they needed to know.
Yes.
They found that she looked up,
and there's only going to be one place in the universe that has 2.
It's Earth. It was like Earth's moon. That'd be hilarious. It's like, it's just Earth.
Is that Lake Armstrong? Is that there? Oh, I see.
Well, in my time, there's 10,000 people living on Lake Armstrong.
I do love the thing, and this is such a minor nitpick. It shouldn't even register. But she describes what she sees. She says, "I see 2 moons, blood red, and lightning." And so the Lady Romulan sister says, "I need to find a planet with 2 red moons and constant lightning." Well, lady, that could have just been one day that there was lightning. Why is it constant lightning?
It's very, very frightening.
Anyways,
Look, all the search terms in the Romulan database are all caps. It's all to the extreme. That's how you have to do it.
Little flashes of Battlestar, Daniel, with like the the different constellations when they're on that little. I forget what planet they were on in like the second season.
Oh,
and
yes.
the president's having a little fever religious dream, and then like they're suddenly surrounded by the constellations. Like, oh, we're seeing it from Earth. That's what it is. Anyway.
Wait until season 2 of Picard when we find out that Agnes has been a synth the whole time. Then you're really going to have a Battlestar flashback.
So let's see. I'm looking at the timestamp of 55 minutes. Let's get that ready for next year. We have to pull it out. Yeah. No, it's. But I mean, overall, it was a fun episode. I feel like we finally turned that corner. You know, like all our main players are together. The band's finally here. And now let's go.
They're not together at all,
Well, now
Taryn.
let's split them up into groups. That's true.
I was going to say,
true.
you say that, but...
For one glorious minute, they were together, and then it's... Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, the resulting... what happens here is that Picard and Soji are now headed to a planet, which they...
I think they headed... Well, what was it? They said what planet they're going to.
Yeah, I can't
It's
remember.
important.
Was it Riker Planet?
I think it's Riker Planet. It's got to be Riker Planet. That's right.
Be Riker Planet, because we know Riker Planet is next planet. So,
meet them on. Oh, they're meeting him at Neffin.
Oh, the name of the episode.
I can't pronounce this at all. What's the name of the next episode? And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the planet. It was a planet that was located within a range of 40,000 light years. Thanks, Memory Alpha. I think I knew that. It's literally the only piece of information we know on this whole planet.
Yeah, so we're going to Riker Planet.
I'm sorry. I just love Memory Alpha articles that are brand new, where they literally state the two blazingly obvious things about this. It's like, this was a planet within 40,000 light years. And did you know, Daniel, that in 2399, that using a spatial trajector in the Queen Cell, the artifact, Jean-Luc and Soji escaped to that planet. I'm like, that's literally the only thing in this article. I'm cracking up. Anyway. I'm pretty sure it's Riker and Troy planet. That's got to be.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. We'll get to see them next week.
Unless they find a magical ship to take them there, because I'm pretty sure they don't.
So what did you guys think of this episode? Like you said, you know what, real quick, another nitpick about this, it bothers me a lot, that even after you're activated as an android, you still don't realize you're an android.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you're just strong now.
I just somehow know that I can punch through stuff.
Sometimes I can learn stupid trivia that I don't need to know because somebody else was about to tell me. Oh, 40,000 light years. But, like, that's it. I don't get access to all the other thousands of amazing abilities that I would have if I was an actual. Anyways.
Well,
sorry.
also, I mean, this is, if we're going to just do dumb nitpicks, so that deck is made of wood? Like, wood? Wood?
Yeah.
Like, not metal?
It's Romulan blah, blah, blah wood. You know, that's what it's...
Like, I could get, like, a wood covering.
Name.
But faux? Like, you know...
Well, she once she breaks through the wood, she does actually pull up a metal.
That's true. She bends, like, two pieces of metal out of the way.
Yeah, so I think she breaks through
So it's like a bunch of 2x4s, and then metal straights, like grating.
Right.
That's the deck. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yep. You know those Borg...
Well, because remember, though, that...
It used to be a basketball court
was between...
for the Borg, but then the Romulans turned it into a dream labyrinth.
Well, I was going to say, though, that dream labyrinth was in between decks, though. It was hidden.
No. She goes in between decks when she busts through the floor. That room is just hidden. It's just,
and that's when she came back
but it is
grid.
hidden either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. A digital frontier.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, real quick, final thoughts, Philip. What did you think of the Impossible Box? And doesn't it sound like the TARDIS?
Well, I did. You know, I thought. Well, there's the melodrama side, which I'm not a fan of, but that doesn't get me up. It's not for me. But like there was a little part like when he still had the box in his hand in the dream labyrinth. I'm like, why would you? I get it's a metaphor, but like, dude, don't carry props with you. And like, oh, I get it. So he's gonna kill her. But yeah, I mean, I liked everyone finally coming together, and like we talked about, the Hugh scenes were really good. I'm to me, and I get that we saw character moments, but I'm not getting the right character moments. Like they're wasting Elnor at this point, which, I don't know, I get it. You got a bunch of characters. We're just going to go with Raffi's damaged, Rios. We're not really going to touch that for a second.
That's true. They've added a lot of
Agnes
characters.
has her own issues that we're not going to talk about for the moment. And then it's like Picard is Picard, and I don't know. So it was a lot going on. I guess I didn't like as much as I liked, because I said I ultimately walked away disappointed, just like, what am I watching here? But like I said, I don't hate it. It's just like, okay, good moments, bad moments. We're kind of getting into Discovery territory for me a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see what's next. 4 episodes left, guys.
Yep, I'm with you. What about you, Darren? What do you think?
Not that much. I enjoyed it. There were a lot of good parts. I mean, like I said, my favorite was definitely the scene with Picard and Hugh. I felt like if you're writing the major story beats of this arc, Picard getting on the artifact is one, and I feel they did a pretty good job of getting him there. It wasn't too, rabbit out of a hat, but, and even the caster that got them out, like, that made sense. I liked that little bit of Borg tech. But yeah, I'm interested to see how we wrap up this end of this season. Like, because it kind of is feeling like this whole season is kind of setting up Picard, or whatever season 2 is going to be. Like, is it the search for more truth? Is it now a new mission? Is it like, where are we going to, that's what I'm most curious. Where are we going to end in this season? Is it, do we find proof that there is a conspiracy, but we still haven't unveiled it? I don't know.
Do you remember the TNG episode classic, Up the Long Ladder?
Oh, gods.
This was with the space Irish people.
And the clones.
Oh, yes.
And the clones. Now, you remember Picard's amazing suggestion was they were both having some sort of issues. Yeah.
Right. One was sterile and one was...
oh, yeah, that's Pulaski's.
So what's going to... So this is going to be a major echo. This is how I'm predicting it right now. This whole season is going to end with Picard bringing the synths and the Borg together. And he's going to make them one big race of mixed people, biological and technological people. But they're going to be real nice. Not like the Borg, who are real mean.
What?
The XBSs.
Well, I guess one thing, and not to pick up this apart, but we're like 6 episodes in, so I feel like I should bring this up. To me, the synth ban and the attitude about synths, other than the Romulans, because I get how they feel. I mean, I don't get why they feel that way, but I get why they feel. They don't like them. I got it. But, like, the Federation, surely they think the synthetics didn't, like, achieve sentience, and turn on them, and that's why we shouldn't have AI.
Right. It's so obvious it's a cover-up.
Well, I mean, that they were taken over, that they were... I mean, it's not even a conspiracy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously someone took over the AI. That's the answer. Period. And shouldn't that have been the investigation instead of just like, synths turned on us, no more synths? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a reaction that Starfleet would have, unless they were covering something up.
So speaking of classic TNG episodes, Darren, I know you're this is one of your favorites, but I read a fan theory. That this
Captain Bateson is going to come back. No, I'm just kidding.
This is all a result of that signal that was sent out at the end of Conspiracy.
Oh,
wow. Oh, wow. Deep dive. Yeah. Wow.
Now, if that was the case, I would almost forgive all of its shortcomings and be like, that's cool. What a neat twist. I don't think we're going to go there, but I think that would be fun if that's what they did.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think we need to...
And I guess now that I'm reading the book, too, because I can get there, but to me the TV series doesn't seem to be threading this needle about, like, that all these storylines are coming together, that the synths, and I'm a little bit of the book, a little bit of the series, so I apologize for blending here, that, the synth and the fleet was all about building the fleet to rescue the Romulans. But then the fleet and the synths were destroyed, and then there wasn't any Romulan rescue. So, and then the Romulans are how they are, So then I'm like, how does that come together? Why would you sabotage the Romulan rescue? Because certainly, but anyway, and I mean that's the question. So anyway, 4 episodes. Here we go.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just weird that it always feels. This is kind of how we felt with Discovery, I think, where it's just always constantly chasing the answers down, and we never get anything satisfactory. Like, it's always like, oh, wait till the next episode. Something else is going to happen.
Kind of makes me miss the old days of, like, episodic television where, hey, we answered all the questions by the end of the... Maybe it was a 2-parter.
I do miss it. Yeah, because I don't want to be grandpa on the lawn, but maybe that's who I am, and whatever. If new TV isn't for me, that's not for me, it's for other people, and that's fine. But I guess I come back to, and not just this episode, but any episode, Picard, Discovery, the rewatchability. But maybe we don't rewatch, and maybe I just need to let that go. Maybe you don't like, hey, I'm going to watch this episode of Discovery or Picard. And it's more like there's always new content, so always explore new content.
Yeah. See, it makes me think about like the Mandalorian is one of the, is a 10-episode season of new modern television, but it maybe in this age of like 10-episode seasons, like Star Trek kind of suffers from its giant crew of characters. Like I think some people were chatting in our group chat, but Star Trek had lots of characters in each show, and it was great because you had 22 plus episodes each season, and you could give like 2 or 3 to each character just in one season, and we can't do that with 10 episodes. So in a way, it kind of feels like, there's just so many characters versus like The Mandalorian, where yes, you have lots of characters, but everything focuses on your main character and maybe 2 or 3 at most, and then everyone else is just like a side in passing. And I don't know, it's, I want, to have more payoff, but it's I honestly don't know where it's going to go in the next 4 episodes.
And that's the thing too. It's not good at balancing it. And again, this is a mistake I think Discovery made, where it's like you spend the first 60% of the season building up something, or 70% of the, and like you don't spend any time getting to know the characters. Which again, like if we're trying to do a 10-episode story here, just one single story instead of 10 individual stories, that's fine. But okay, we don't need a whole crew, like you said, Darren. Like, if you're not going to give us an Elrond episode or a Rafi episode, and you're only going to give us 5 minutes here and 30 seconds here, it's not enough to grab onto to really mean anything to us. It's like, so why even have that structure around these characters? Just give us Picard and his grumpy old doctor friend like at the chateau, and then we can start dealing with something like really dig into it. But it's like, no, it's always got to be the end of the universe is about to happen, and we somehow
the Destroyer.
Have to stop it.
We haven't even brought that up, right? Anyway,
yeah. Anyways, moving on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Destroyer.
Remember that?
Yeah,
remember when we were the Destroyer?
We'll
Fun times.
I forgot about that.
We were so young back then.
We'll see where this goes. We've got 4 more episodes, so and next week doesn't look to be a huge, big revelation episode. Of course, that may change. We don't know, but we do get to see Riker and Troy, and I think we're all looking forward
and their
to
child.
That. So that's right. They have a kid, at least one. So that'll be exciting. So that is called From Nom Nom Nom. I can't remember the name of the episode. The episode is called Nepenthe, I guess is how you would say that.
Nepenthe.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out how to pronounce it.
Nice. Rura Nepenthe.
Yeah, also known as the graveyard of something. So
at least that'll be fun.
20 years later, it's a summer.
So that's it for the Impossible Box. Darren, if people wanted to find you and say, hey, it really wasn't that impossible. It was like a Rubik's Cube.
That's not true. That's impossible.
How would they get hold of you?
They could find me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, or TikTok under username Dr. Sci-Fi, DRSCIFI.
And Philip, if people wanted to know, could you really fit that much poison gas in a box that size, or is it always bigger on the inside?
Maybe it's replicating it as we speak.
No, it's an impossible box.
Well,
That's names
Oh,
on the tin.
it's so impossible.
You got to believe in 2 impossible boxes before breakfast. You can reach me on Twitter at NC Public Servant.
And if people want to get hold of me, they can find me on Twitter as well, at OneUpDan. That's the number 1, not the word, as in, Hugh's great. He's the best so far. I love Hugh. So, so that's it for us. Until next week, so we will catch you next week on Steady Alpha 3. I'm Daniel Prue.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Darren Moser.
Stranded here on Steady Alpha 3.